Charles, I think this dust up in New Jersey indicates that maniac season is, happening right now. It's really outrageous how people have been upset about this anti-weaponization fund that they anticipate will remunerate people who were put in jail, in some cases for misdemeanor trespassing. And now we've got people literally fighting with the cops and ICE agents, and nothing seems to be happening.
Yeah, before we went on air, I was checking for reports, and I saw a report that people have gone into that Antifa staging area there, and are shocked by what they found. I mean, this is not a bunch of high school kids deciding to act up and get a day off of school. These are thugs who have secured armaments, and are trying to fight, to actually lead an insurrection. I mean, it's more than a little bit ironic that what you and I saw down on January 6th in Washington, D.C. was not the type of violence that you see here in Newark.
No.
And what is the FBI doing here? I mean, how do we let this swarm of people get to a place where they're doing this kind of stuff? I mean, you can't engage in this type of collective activity with all these skateboards and arms and whatever they have there, without somebody noticing something suspicious. So is there an anti-terror group within the FBI that has been switched off because they don't want to find woke terrorists?
It's unbelievable. I mean, the fact that they allow this to go on for even a day, and I mean, it's been happening throughout the weekend and certainly even longer. Like, look at all this. What is this, garbage, or this is supplies? They've got,
right.
What do they got here? This is crazy.
Right. Well, when going back years ago, I think it was right before the lockdown, COVID lockdown, there was a protest that swarmed by Bryant Park and 42nd Street there between 5th and 6th in Manhattan, in New York. And it was really loud, and I could hear it. I was inside the library. I could hear something going on. So I went outside and I said, holy shit, there's all these people. And they were mostly young, and they had type placards, and they were going down into the subway, and they were trying to deface the subway, to put some kind of gunk on it, some acid or something like that. And when I came back out to the street, I noticed there were all these asshole, middle-aged women, frizzy hair and armbands, and it said like legal observer on there, or legal something, on an armband. And they had those loudspeakers, those megaphones, electronic megaphones, and they were just amping the crowd up, getting these young. And then a lot of in that case years ago, it seemed like these were even junior high school students and high school students and college kids being whipped up into a frenzy by these Antifa thugs. I think this has migrated now to paid protesters who are fit and are prepared to really, bring it to the man. And this is, crossed, in my mind, it's crossed a major league line. I mean, this guy, Singham, that's his name, this Sri Lankan guy who made a lot of money and then went over to communist China, and from there is leading a charge to take down the United States from the inside. This guy, I mean, honestly, and I said it before, Trump went to China. I would not have gone to China without being told that the Chinese would turn Singham, or however you pronounce the guy's name, over to our people before Trump left Washington, D.C. to go meet with Xi. That would have been a minimum precondition for me. So this is an American who is inside your country trying to orchestrate a violent revolution inside my country. And you cannot give this man safe harbor if your companies want to try to sell stuff, products and services inside the U.S. You just can't do it. And on the subject of fentanyl, we're not going to negotiate that. We talked about this before. Fentanyl precursors and other things that your companies, with your knowledge or without your knowledge, are shipping into our country. You stop that shit. You give us you can execute the people yourselves if you want. But if you're not going to do that, you're going to turn them over to us. We won't execute them necessarily, but we're going to put them away for a long time.
Now, Charles, it says here that he was a member of the League of Revolutionary Black Workers, but
He's Sri Lankan.
is he black? Yeah, he doesn't
No,
look black at all.
I'm more black than he is.
He
Look at me,
became
at least in
black.
his screen. At least in my version of the screen, I appear to be more of a person of color than this idiot. But you can have you can be Elizabeth Warren, right? And you can pretend you're an Indian, get tenure at Harvard, become a senator, take all kinds of money from donors and claim that you don't, insist that you got to fly around in a private jet, and have stupid idea after stupid idea. You can do that, and you can have meetings with all kinds of college kids and professors and anchors from MSNBC and get but when you cross that line and you start financing and encouraging impressionable youths, ignorant impressionable youths, to go up against ICE, who are trying, at the same time we're discovering there are multiple drivers inside the United States, thanks to Autopan and an idiotic wife and dangerous family, multiple people, driving trucks who don't even know how to read English, killing people in accidents, rapists and murderers, all brought in by Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck, the Palestinian Schumer, and Biden and Bite me, bite me. Um, but you can't be, throwing gasoline on a fire here with your billions that you made in one generation in our country. Thank you very much. You can't use that money to try to burn down the United States of America and destroy the future of a rising generation of young people, all from your perch back in communist China when you're an American. You can't do that, And the idea that he's getting away with it, it's the same. Remember in front of Trump Tower, that one time, Jason, when was a young punk, many punks, but a young punk, probably 12 or 13 years old, who was acting up and threatening you. And in front of the police, on camera, you were taping him. This kid said, "I'm going to murder you." And when you complained about that, the kid said, "I'm going to murder the cops." And the cops were like, never mind. Bullshit. You can't do that.
No, it was, I don't know what to say, Charles. I mean, we're in a really bad place. I agree with you. I mean, at the very least, I think the cops should take a guy like that and at least ruin his day, drive him downtown in some handcuffs and run him through a process of having to go in front of a judge and explain what an idiot he is. But yeah, they just let this kind of thing happen and it only causes it to escalate.
Right. Well, in that vein, the art department did a great job um, putting a focus on George Soros, who had a despicably long life. He's in his 90s. I think he's around 94. And what he does, and Scott Besson understands this because Scott Besson is a hedge fund guy. What he does is not simply animate youths to do this kind of protesting around the world. He takes it a step further. He knows where the protesting is going to happen, and he knows in which countries it's going to happen, and he can make money off chaos and violence by shorting. There's hope buying, selling securities you don't own, and hoping that they go down in value. So you would short, as he did, he shorted the British pound and made $1 billion a long time ago. I think actually Scott Bessent worked for him then.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was going to ask you about. I mean, isn't that a little weird that Scott Bessent were? That's
no,
apparently what
not
this punch to Elon Musk was over, is that he said he was a Soros guy.
well, but the point is, Bessent certainly understands. I mean, it's one thing to do that when you just I say this as somebody who went against GE. You do your homework and you realize that the country, the company, is lying about its financial condition, and the market doesn't understand that because oftentimes investors in the market can be naive. You take a contrary position. That's okay. It's not okay to go into GE and hire people to break up the annual meeting, or make bomb threats against the CEO and the headquarters and let that get out into the news and people panic and the stock price go down. That's what this guy Singham is doing, in my view, and Soros is doing. Um, and a second point here is everyone talks about inequality. If Alex Soros were not the spawn of George Soros, he'd be lucky to be working in a niche store down, in the Hasidic Jewish section of Lower East
Knishes.
Side, or Knish or
What
whatever.
is that place called that has knishes?
I don't know,
Yonah
but I mean,
Shambles, Knish. Yeah, I know what you're
right,
talking about.
right. I mean, the guy, he just gets, somebody tells him, look, this is how the wokesters are going to dress, and now the guy's probably pushing into his 30s, maybe his 40s. He dresses like a moron, and he is an idiot, but he's got his father's money, or he controls his father's fortune. So of course he's doling out, he's giving people hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars a year through these various open society foundations, and he's got the father's access to the father's wealth. Talk about inequality.
Now look
I
at
mean,
this,
it's just
Charles. Here they're saying George Soros's foundation, the foundation's pledged 300 million for U.S. democracy. This is let's unpack that. What the hell are they talking about? What are they pledging this money to? It's for destroying U.S. democracy.
when Barack Obama says, we've got to protect our democracy. I just shows that the guy actually never took an American history course or paid attention to it, because the United States Constitution explicitly discusses a republic. It is not a democracy. The founders understood the perils of popular democracy because they studied history carefully, especially including Greek and Roman history. So, um, when they say protecting democracy, what they mean is putting Trump in prison. That's what they mean. I
Well, I
mean,
think in a
this,
broader sense, they mean like what's happening in New Jersey. I mean, here's the thing. If someone was really, using millions of dollars in a legitimate nonprofit to fight whatever it is that's going on there in New Jersey, that would have to be through lawsuits and, getting some sort of a legal ruling from a judge that you have to open this place up. You can't very well stand out in the street with masks on and screaming and banging kettlebells and pushing
right.
fences against the cops and consider that some form of legitimate advocacy. It's just anarchy. It's chaos.
Well, and think about this for a second. That moron Cory Booker was the mayor of Newark before he became a senator, right? Newark is a shithole. Doesn't have to be a shithole, but it is one. And it's had, I don't know, decades of Democratic, quote, leadership, and businesses don't want to invest there because it's a shithole.
He has
And
concerns about Plattner revelations in the main Senate race.
yeah, but yeah, I mean,
We'll get to that
Cory,
later. We still have more to talk about the shitholi that is Newark.
right. And why is it a shithole? Because it's a sanctuary city with, generations of dumbass mayors and city council people. So they get paid off by somebody to allow all of these illegal criminals, basically, to come cascading into Newark. The residents aren't safe. Crime is high. Businesses have left. This is what happens. This is their prescription, And when Booker and Obama and Hillary and all these people talk about our values, our democracy, etc., show me a place that's been run by Democrats as a sanctuary city and or state inside the United States of America that isn't a shithole, right? This is, we're slouching towards becoming a shithole of a country. And when they don't get their way, they know they have the protest industrial complex behind them to come in with this hey ho, hidey ho bullshit, and the placards and the scruffies with their bandanas and their stupid wool hats, as if that means anything, right? We've had an election. Trump won legitimately. He didn't campaign on, let's make America a shithole again. And these people are object to that. Why do they object to that? Probably because most of them are being paid much more than they can make legitimately.
Yeah.
And there are a limited number of hotheads and funders of these hotheads. And if these protests are being funded, as I suspect, by public charities that are supposed to be nonpartisan and that they may not engage in any illegal activities. Activities are illegal. That we see certainly there in Newark. and you get these senators looking for a moment on MSNBC or maybe even CBS, ABC, or NBC. So they find out that there's a nice operation, let's say in downtown New York, and sure enough, perhaps AOC will show up, for her soundbite, or Zoran Mandami will get there and act all uppity. You don't get, because you're a mayor, to just say federal laws don't apply to New York City. That's not how the Constitution works. And really, I mean, Trump was nice enough to sit down with Mandami once. I think it's time to send Stephen Miller or somebody like him and Tom Homan in to see this puke and tell them, look, this is going to be a summer of love, not a summer of protest. This is a celebration of 250 years of this country, and you are not going to turn this summer into the summer of 68 and 69. That's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. I think Trump needs to stop being nice with these people.
I feel like he's not paying attention. I mean, he's definitely not doing enough. We've got Vic Morrow in the comments saying that Soros is responsible, or sorry, Singham is behind the funding of all three 501c3 organizations there in Newark, and he audited each 990. Vic, what are the names of those nonprofits that are behind this? That'd be interesting. We take a look at those 990s during the sponsor exclusive segment on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. But I mean, Charles, it's like 10 years we've been talking about this. Trump is, he's worried about the UFC and he's worried about the ballroom and what's even going on with Iran. It's like, what the hell is going on?
And the concert.
The concert with Milli Vanilli. I mean, wait. We have people it's like Escape from Newark over there, and you're worried about Milli Vanilli. This is not good.
But again, there's a whole bunch of people in media and social media who are trying to shape the narrative that Trump is mentally unfit, doesn't know his priorities, that the MAGA base is fractured, and any story like that is being pumped up. And you're right to criticize. We haven't seen the results yet, and certainly we've been at this 10 years plus, trying to shine a light on the illegal activities of all these nonprofits. Back on what Vic was saying and what we've been talking about here, that money has to move. I don't think they're shipping cash in black bag in brown paper bags on a private jet into the country. I think they're wiring money, and Scott Bessent has the tools at Treasury with the FBI to figure out where that money's coming from, where it's housed. And I think, at this stage, Bessent, in my mind, should put Singham on that OFAC list, that the Treasury list of the Office of Foreign Asset Control. You go on that list, you're in deep trouble. Where does Singham keep his money? And if it's trapped inside communist China, that's bad news for him. Because legitimate investors have great trouble getting money out that they put into China back out of it. If we were to really put the heat up on this guy, I mean, as I would, separately, I got a report overnight that the situation in China economically might be much worse than even Gordon Chang and I believe, and have expressed in the past, that China is heavily reliant on oil and imported oil and gas. And now with what's going on in Venezuela, as the Texans like to say, and now in Iran, they don't have access to the quantities of oil they need at the prices, the low prices they used to get from Venezuela, from Iran. They don't have that. And if you have all these aspirations of being a gigantic world power, and you don't have energy, you are, it's a technical term, fucked. What's this one?
Well, this is coming from the news saying that Movimento Kosheka is one of these things that are funding the protests there in Newark. And this says it's a 501c4. $786,000 in net assets, negative 271,000.
That's too small to me, really.
Or maybe
What's
this
his
is, this is one of these. Basically, the way they do it is they have something big that's a 501c3, and then it funnels money off to these multiple
right?
501c4s, so that the C4 can say, "Oh no, we're the action people," but the multimillionaires and billionaires are putting their money into some tax deductible thing in a 501c3. Vic told us, what we've observed for some time, that they use donor advised funds to hide the actual donors, and we don't know exactly where this money is coming from. But
Who are the people behind it? You just scrolled past it.
they're not getting paid any money, these people.
But what are they
Mary Claire
named?
Camp,
Camp?
Cecia X. Lee, Christine Miranda. These people are spending 2 hours and 15 hours a
No, it's
week
bullshit.
on this. So that
It's
can't
gonna
be
have
right.
at the bottom, Jason, related organization. It might have Schedule R. Um, maybe
Doesn't
not.
have it. Oh
Okay,
wait,
but it should.
that's B. No, it
B
doesn't
is
tell
the
us related organizations.
interesting.
We'll look at more of these. Maybe Vic can tell us here. He says using the device. Saw crackhead Barney there.
No, this has got to stop. This is not. This is
People's
not.
Forum.
No, this
It
this
looks
is
like you
not.
say.
This is not something. This is not something up with which we shall put much longer.
But they're just not doing anything about it.
Well, I don't know that, Jason. I mean, they're not satisfying our expectations for getting shit done on the schedule we'd like to see it. But Besant did say, I think on Friday, that we're weeks, months away from stopping this. And it could take. I mean, you don't want a limited hangout solution. And
Oh, here you go, Charles. 12 million.
Okay, who's this?
This is the People's Forum. Vic just told us about. So here's their 990 from 2024. We've only got about 2 minutes left here on YouTube and X and all of our free platforms, but we'll dive into this and look at it closely. Do one of your vivisections of a nonprofit on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. The viewership is way, way down. So I really want to thank people who are sponsoring the show. Couldn't keep doing this without all of you viewer sponsors who are out there and the people who are following me on X at JG_CSTT. It's a bit of a low point right now, Charles. New algorithms, AI stomping out, undesired content. Of course, the ongoing, decade now of legal battles that I've been going through. It's strange to me that there aren't, other people putting out information who are subjected to the same kind of legal obstruction that I have been. And, my detractors will say like, oh, this is why you're getting sued all the time. Actually, no, there's one person is the reason why I'm getting sued all the time. And it says more about that person than it does about me, but it is a bit of an annoyance. So we'll take a look at this. Anything you want to say in the last moments here, Charles?
No, it's been a pleasure to spend the weekend here in Kuala Lumpur and win 2 tennis matches.
Yeah, it's a good thing to be doing, of course. This is on 37th Street, this thing, People's Forum. Now, wait a minute.
Where?
37th, 320 West 37th is going to be somewhere over there like 8th Avenue, probably, right? Where is that?
Further, that's in the boonies there.
Let's have a quick look at that.
I know that area because I used to live on 37th and Park, and I used to drive, east and west on the various streets
that
to go up
sounds
the west
like
highway.
kind of near the neighborhood where, yeah, it's right there between 8th and 9th where 21st Century 3D used to be.
Yeah.
Amazing, Charles. We've got all of this nonsense and shenanigans right under our noses here. This is just like a crappy office building area. It's probably this building here or maybe this.
Yeah.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll just take a break and reset on the sponsored show, and we'll be back and do a deep dive into this People's Forum, see what they're up to.